Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on the Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Team Nigeria stands medal hall at the Islamic Solidarity Games. Coming in from basketball, it is day one at the Nigerian Premier Basketball Super 4. League resumes across Europe. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and I have Mike with me.
Thanks for having me this morning. Glad to be here.
Let's get started. Of course, we tip off in basketball, where day one of the Nigerian Premier League basketball gets underway today. Super 4, to be specific. 4 teams are in action, or will be in action later today. We have the Boko Chiefs, and of course, the Nigerian Customs. Then the Hoopers of Port Harcourt as well will be in action later tonight against Garden City Chiefs. Mike, the Super 4 is here, and the winner of the Super 4 will represent Nigeria at the Basketball League Africa. A lot of money at stake in this one. But first, let's look at how these teams got here. Were you satisfied with the way they did qualify? Were these the best 4 out of the 8 that started the championship in Port Harcourt?
Definitely, these are the best 4 teams that started the last phase of the league right here. You talk about the likes of Rivers Hoopers. They only lost 1 game against Lagos Legends en route to this very point. So they are a credible, team to get to this point. Then you talk about Boko City Chief. They also did pretty well, and that is why they got this toss for Nigerian Custom as well. They also finished very strong in their own angle, and they got here. Lagos Legend, they are one of the only team that has a perfect record thus far in this competition, because en route to this very point, they did not lose a single game, and that is how they got to this very point. So yeah, to answer your question, these are the best teams so far in this competition, and they will be going head-to-head against each other in a round-robin format, which kicks off today. We'll see who, takes the day. But then Rivers Hoopers, being the defending champion, likely might just custom this particular one. But then they face a very stiff opposition from Lagos Legend, who has not lost any game so far.
Well, talking about tonight's fixture by 5 p.m. Nigerian time, it will be the first fixture between, that's 3 p.m., sorry. It will be the Legends from Lagos in action against the Nigerian Customs. Then at 5 p.m. at the basketball stadium in Port Harcourt, Rivers Hoopers will host the Garden City Chiefs, and it promises to be thrilling. Talking about this fixture ahead of it, one of the star players for Rivers Hoopers, Kevin Amayo, everybody's looking up to him. He's had an opinion about the first fixture in the Super 4.
Definitely. I know what is at stake. One of the outstanding performers so far, who has has become the fans' favorite so far. And he's talking tough. He knows what is at stake in this particular one, and he said they are ready to give it all. He knows the stiff competition that will come from the likes of Lagos Legend and the rest, but then they are determined and remain resolute to making it happen starting from this evening. So beyond the talking, I think he also does the job as well on the court out there, because we've seen him churn out impressive numbers, and also especially when it has to do with the three-pointers. They will hope that he brings his wealth of experience, tenacity to bear as Rivers Hoopers go for their third straight title.
Kevin Amayo, of course, a Nigerian American, no doubt, having his feel of what to say or what to get later tonight at the basketball court in Port Harcourt. Let's take it a bit higher from the Premier League basketball here in Nigeria to the NBA in the United States of America. The matches were on in the early hours of this morning. Orlando Magic, no doubt, eclipsed the Clippers by 129 points to 101 points. LA Clippers had a rough patch there, if you ask me.
Yeah, for LA Clippers, I think it's not been a good one, the one that we expected. Orlando Magic, I think they've also been very shaky at the start of this season so far, but then maybe the home advantage played a vital role, and that is why they got that one over LA Clippers. We'll see how their next game will pan out.
Talking about home advantage, Memphis Grizzlies got a lot of it because they scored 137 points as compared to 96 from the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, for Sacramento Kings, one of the team rather that have started very poor so far this season, and that tells how disappointing that they've seated in the league table. They are second to the basement, team when you talk about the Western Conference. They've started the season very poor, very disappointing, and not very impressive so far this season. So it wasn't a surprise to me that they lost that particular one early hours of this morning.
It wasn't an impressive home fixture for Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks from Milwaukee lost at home, and it was 76ers from Philadelphia that beat them 111 points to 106 points.
Yeah, for Milwaukee Bucks, not a good one, because I expected them to at least, do some magical stuff, because they've started the season not too bad. They are seated fifth in the Eastern Conference, so I expected them to fight so hard to keep up their pace, but then, quite unfortunate, they couldn't hold their own.
Jerry Adetokunbo in the fixture?
Yeah, definitely back after some time away from the team. He did his best, but then I think his best wasn't that good enough, and that is why they lost.
It all counted for San Antonio Spurs at home because they beat Atlanta Hawks by 135 points to 126 points.
For Atlanta Hawks, I think it's a great result for them, taking a look at how they've started the season on a very shaky note as well. So I think for me, it's a very good victory for them.
Let's get back to the home stuff. And Abeokuta Ogun State there is agog because it is entering its final week of preparations ahead of the first ever West African Para Games for Zone A and B. The National Sports Commission is confirming that all operational plans for these games is sorted out.
Yeah, alongside the local organizing committee, I think I heard them, making some bold statements a few hours ago about their readiness, how prepared they are, how coordinated they've been able to put things in place, especially in terms of logistics for some of the teams that will be coming down for this particular one in Abeokuta, Ogun State. I think from what I heard and from what I've seen, I think they are ready for this particular one, and they will also want to consolidate on their last successful hosting of the national, sport festival, which they just hosted a few months ago. So from all indication, I think they are ready and prepared for this particular one.
Talking about games that is intended to strengthen infrastructure, of course, do improve participation as well as deepen global engagement in the sector. Meanwhile, these games gets underway in just about 5 days from now, 26th to be specific, and transportation, venue preparation, medical services, accreditation, not forgetting media operations, in conjunction with security, are all sorted out according to organizers of the event. Abeokuta is destination in the next 5 days, and we've seen that oftentimes Ogun State had hosted sporting events properly. So let's hope that this one will be in the trajectory of excellence in sports hosting. I think it looks like Ogun State is now the new destination of sports. Maybe because of the Director General of the National Sports Commission, you think? Do you think he has any influence in that? Some of these events have been sorted out before he even arrived in office.
Yeah, maybe just maybe because of the influence as well. But then beyond the influence, you have to take a look at the sporting infrastructures on ground. Does it really meet up with the standard of some of these organizations? I think yes. If they've been given the hosting right of some of these, major events, it simply means that they have the sporting infrastructures on ground. Because despite the influence of maybe Madam Sheikh Diko,
Lapade is from Ogun State.
Yeah, despite their influence, if the state itself doesn't have the requisite standard for the sporting infrastructure to host some of these game, they will not still get the odds. So I think basically it's about the sporting infrastructures on ground, and that is why they always have the advantage over other states.
Let's quickly go across to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, where Team Nigeria has increased its gold medal tally at the ongoing 6th Islamic Solidarity Games in Riyadh. We've seen that there have been more gold medals in wrestling, and of course the women's 4x100 meters relay event. Mike, you have been following this all week. What do you make of Team Nigeria's participation at the Islamic Games?
I think it's been a good outing so far for Team Nigeria. Right from the get-go, they started off in a very fine footing from the angle of boxing, which actually led the first match for Team Nigeria's quest for success. It's been very good for them. So far so good, racking up about 10 medals, 7 silver, 7 bronzes so far, seated among the top teams out of 57 countries. So for me, I think it's been a good start. With just a few days to go, I think there's still hope for them to rack up more medals, especially in some of the areas that will have a little bit of a comparative advantage, like the area of powerlifting and the rest of it all. I think we still have more chances to rack up more medals. But so far so good. I think it's been an impressive outing for Team Nigeria.
Impressive outing, bronze medal in the javelin event, and that's cool enough. George Patience finished second behind Bahrain opponent, while in the men's 4x100 meters relays, we saw the team of John Caleb Chidera, Ezekiel Asukwo, and James Emmanuel finish third. In wrestling, at the games, Mercenary Genesis lost her gold medal match in the women's 50 kg freestyle final to Akenge Kumunjava of Uzbekistan. 5-1 that one ended, and Nigeria settled for silver. Meanwhile, Olopade, the Director General of the Sports Commission, has praised the performance of our athletes and encouraging them to remain focused and disciplined ahead of other major international competitions. We understand Team Nigeria now has a total of 8 gold medals, 10 silver, and 7 bronze medals. We could get more in para-athletics and para-powerlifting. This is some strength for Nigeria.
Definitely, athletics and para-powerlifting, these are the areas we hope to at least rack up more medals. And I hope before the competition comes and probably tomorrow, we are going to, of course, increase our medals a whole.
Let's get to the latest from the world of rugby. The Nigerian Rugby Federation has named a 42-man professional squad for the forthcoming Heritage Cup meeting with Ghana. This is interesting. Rugby in Nigeria beginning to gain momentum with an entirely home-based squad meant for this competition coming up in Accra, Ghana, in just about a week from now.
Yeah, I think rugby actually gaining momentum. But one major highlight about this very one is about the fact that the players are entirely home-based, selected from different clubs right here in the country, and they're bringing them together. I think that is the most critical aspect, very, very key for sport development when you inculcate the homegrown players, and not each time we are going for competition, it depends on a foreign-based players to pick up, positions, especially when we have, talents, mammoth of talents right here in the country. So I think for me, look as though we are beginning to look inwards in the angle of rugby, and I think it's going to be a very good one because these homegrown players, they are more determined, they know the terrain, they understand what it means, and they will also want to make name for themselves. So for me, I think it's a very good idea. Though the squad will be, trimmed down to 24. But then I think it's a good one to note that the bulk of the players, in fact, all of them are homegrown.
42 players, rugby players, are expected to arrive camp later today, and from where in the next couple of days, the number will be reduced from 42 to, I think, 24. And expected that this will, to the 4-man squad, will now jet to Accra, Ghana for the championship. Meanwhile, we'll get now to tennis, and Haruna Quadri is in the news again because the campaign of the 2025 Moscow contender came to an abrupt end on Thursday as he was defeated 3-2 by Romania's Eduard Dunescu in a post-voting round of 32 at the Sultan Kobo Sports Complex. Haruna Quadri, everybody knows that he's getting past his prime. What do you make of it?
Definitely. I think the age factor is really telling on him. It's been very difficult in the last year for him to finish in a very respectable position. He finds it very difficult, even cruising past round of 32. Even when he was given a bye in the round of 64, that he did not compete because of his high ranking, was given that bye only for him to compete in round of 32. In his first game, he got knocked out by a youngster, and I think for me it's not a good one at all, despite the huge money that comes with it, because even when he was knocked out in round of 32, he still went home with the sum of $17,000, which for me I think is huge, that if he had progressed further plus some of the points, he would have even earned more. So I think the age factor is really telling on Haruna Quadri. He's still finding it very, very difficult to rediscover his best of form. Despite ranking 27th in the world, he was beaten by a player that is way and better ranked, who was ranked 40-something or 44. So I think for me, it is high time we begin to source for replacement for Haruna Quadri, because he's definitely aging and he's no longer, the usual Haruna Quadri that we know.
Haruna Quadri earning as much as $17,000 for his effort there, even though he did not win, and of course adding 25 points to his ranking points there. He's moving, no doubt about it.
Yeah, moving, but then not to be compared with what is expected. You can't lose your first game, even when you were given a bye in the round of 64 to such youngster. It doesn't tell good of the legacy that he has built for himself. I think it's not a good one for his career. Of course, if he had progressed further, he would earn more ranking points, and that will, of course, increase his ratings in the world.
Meanwhile, let's bring you some more advanced tennis history now. Germany completed a remarkable comeback to beat Argentina in a thrilling doubles decider, and of course set up a Davis Cup semi-final against Spain. Germany versus Spain in the Davis Cup semi-final.
It's going to be a good one for them. Both teams did their very best to get to this point, even when some of their key players were absent. For Italy, their two top stars were not there. Even Yannick Sinner, the world number 2 and the first in Italy, wasn't there, but then they still managed to find their way. When it looked as though they were going to be knocked out of that very competition last night, they still held their own to bounce back very strong, to take it to set decider before they were able to get past their opponent. And for Spain, they're also doing pretty well, and I think it's going to be a great final.
Talking about the final between Spain and Germany. Meanwhile, the Germans have to thank their star player there, Alexander Zverev, for getting it all done. And for Spain, there is a certain Carlos Alcaraz, somewhere locking.
Yeah, I think he's been very, very influential in that Spanish team. Don't forget, he just reclaimed back his world #1 spot as the season coming to an end, where he was able to edge Yannick Sinner for the final #1 spot before the end of the season. So I think he's very instrumental for that Spanish team, and no doubt his influence has played key roles for the Spanish team as well.
Meanwhile, we'll bring you our final story for this half of the bulletin, and it's coming from Formula One. McLaren's title contender, Lando Norris, and of course Oscar Piastri, struggled in their first practice at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. We understand Ferrari's Charles Leclerc had set the pace in that one.
Yeah, but can Charles Leclerc, do this in the main, race? It is one question that he must ask, and I think for me it's very doubtful. Despite the poor showing of the McLaren, team and their drivers, rather, I think they are still favorites, for the main, race. 3 races to go before the end of the season, and it's still between. McLaren on Oscar Piastri and his teammate Alde. So, despite the poor showing, I still think that in the main race they will definitely rediscover their form.
Talk about rediscovering form on the Las Vegas Grand Prix. That will be where we'll take our first break, and when we return from the break, there will be more to come, especially in football. Rivers United are already in Egypt for their first encounter in the group phase of the CAF Champions League, and European League returns after the international break. Just like we've had the Premier League in Nigeria continue in some kind of fine form, we understand that the Casino United now has a new home. Yes, when we return for a break, we'll let you know details and many more. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. Don't forget, we told you that the Nigerian Premier Basketball League Super 4 gets underway. Tips off actually today at the basketball stadium in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. And the 4 teams, Custom Chiefs, and Boko Lagos Legends, all set, the Hoopers, to pick up the only ticket that will see the team go to the Basketball League Africa representing Nigeria. Now let's get to football, and we'll start with the Premier League here. While there was an international break, the Premier League in Nigeria was going on, and there was an incident a few days ago that has now seen Katsina United directed to play their home games in Ilori. The Rashidi Yekini Stadium will now be the new home of the Katsina boys.
Yeah, I think the reason is very simple. It's because of the crowd trouble a few weeks ago when they had to host their opponent. So I think after that fine that was levied on them, they were also banned from playing at their home ground because of the crowd violence. And I think for me, it's going to go a whole long way to destabilize the team, because playing away from your own traditional home ground doesn't really give you that much confidence, because the fans will not be there, and that is a demotivation for the players as well. But then it's part of the measures adopted by the league body to actually caution some of these clubs and their fans so as to stick to the rules of engagement.
You have to stick to the rules of engagement, and that's what Katsina has been forced to do now. They presently place 17 on the league table, and that looks very fragile if you don't make good use of the Lorry Stadium, because if you don't win your games, then you're sure going to be relegated out there. Now let's get to something that happened yesterday, and of course it went around viral, the incident at the CAF Awards. A lot of people have reservations about what happened there. But first, let's look at the general organization of the awards. Did we have the stars that were expected at Morocco for this one?
Yeah, definitely. It lived up to expectation. Normally in the last 3 CAF Gala Nights Award, it has been hosted at Morocco, which for me I think has been very good. If they hadn't been able to put up a top-notch organization in the last 2 editions, I do not think they would have gotten the nod rather again to host this year's edition. So some of the top stars expected, they arrived, they were there live and present, and then again gingered or flavored up by top music artists, likes of Willow, Logomba, and the rest of them, who also graced the occasion. So I think for me, the stars really turned up.
Morocco was the venue, and Moroccan stars did win the Star Awards that were on showcase. Moroccan Ashraf Hakimi won the male CAF Player of the Year, where we equally had another female Moroccan win the female Player of the Year. Mike, what do you make of it? Any favors done the host nation?
Not at all. They truly deserve, all the award categories. It was more like a total sweep from the award, individual award and the collective award as well. There was nothing like favor. Morocco and Achraf Hakimi truly deserved to win that particular one, because he did pretty well for Paris Saint-Germain.
A lot of people are complaining about Shibak, the female player, CAF Player of the Year. This is the first time we have a Moroccan lady win the CAF Player of the Year. And there's been so much hue and cry from the Nigerian camp. Rashida Lajibade believes that this should be her own award.
I do not think so. If you go through what Shiba did during the last African Cup of Nations, I think she was very key for the team. She played pivotal role. So I do not see any shortchanging of that award. I think she deserves it, despite the outcry of so many Nigerians that Rashida Lajibade deserved that very one. In fact, I would have even preferred if a player like Esther Okonkwo was even being talked about as the nearest person, but then she couldn't even make the final shortlist, because Esther Okonkwo, she was very pivotal, played key roles for the Super Eagles en route to the final and winning that last African Cup of Nations, scoring decisive goals, and of course putting up incisive assists out there. So I think there's no argument to that the Moroccan deserve it more than Rashida Ajibade.
Moroccan Shibak winning it for the first time as a Moroccan lady, and of course the first time it is going to Morocco for the female category as well. And we know that Mustafa Haji in 1998 had won it first as the first Moroccan to win the CAF Male Player of the Year. Now Ashraf Hakimi, and no doubt there's been no complaint about his own award because of his winning titles in the season under consideration. Looking at the other awards, Nigerians were favored as well.
I think it was only Chiamaka Nnadozie. I won't say we were favored. She deserved it. Chiamaka Nnadozie, the goalkeeping department. She has won it a record 3 straight times, and I think she has been very fantastic for the Super Eagles and for her team right there in Paris Saint-Germain before moving down to England. I think she truly deserved that particular one. Away from that, I think Moroccan teams, they almost swept everything. And you take a look at all the categories awarded to them, they truly deserve it. So for me, no complaint at all.
A lot of people are talking about Mohamed Salah. Was he snubbed?
No. Mohamed Salah, not that he was snubbed, but his punching was not, way below expectation. He was just very instrumental to helping Liverpool win the English Premier League title, where he scored about 29 goals, 18 assists in 40-something games, but then winning one title, I think that does not in any way surpass the impressive display of Accra. Winning their first UEFA Champions League, and in fact he scored the first goal of that. So there's no controversy at all. Not that he was snubbed, it's just that last season he wasn't good enough compared to what the Moroccan did. We
move on the CAF award for this year on our program Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition. Meanwhile, the fixtures for the 2026 FIFA World Cup Inter-Confederation and of course European qualification playoffs have been officially announced. Mike, with 42 spots already secured through direct qualification, 6 eventual playoff finals will now join 2 from the Inter-Confederation playoffs and 4 from the European playoff. Let's look at the one that concerns us here in Africa. DR Congo, that eliminated Nigeria at the final, now has what has been described as it looks like an easy opponent. They are straight into the final, and they are having the winner of the Macedonia fixture against which is this other team now? Jamaica. A lot of people believe that maybe Jamaica will be their opponent in the very final, determining whether they go to the World Cup in 2026.
I think we'll wait and see. Football is not really played on paper or even ranking. Sometimes ranking doesn't really hold water.
Macedonia against Jamaica?
Macedonia against Jamaica. The Reggae Boys of Jamaica, sometimes they could prove very difficult to come up against Macedonia.
I'm sorry, New Caledonia.
New Caledonia rising force in the world of football, but traditionally you want to say that the Reggae Boys of Jamaica might have the edge over them. But then, like I said, football is not really played on paper. We just wait and see who pulls through from that group, while DR Congo are still waiting on the wings. They are not part of this first phase. Why? Because they have the highest ranking point among this playoff, and this is the position that the Super Eagles should have been waiting by now if we had gotten to this very point.
They passed. You can't remember them ago. The Super Eagles have to wait for another 4 years. Meanwhile, Bolivia will be waiting for Suriname in what looks like a difficult tie. I'm sorry, Iraq will be waiting for the winner between Bolivia and Suriname.
I think it's a very tight counter. If you take a look at both teams, the way they got to this very point, you won't push any of these teams aside. They just need to slug it out there and see who wants it the most. All
eyes will be on Mexico match next year when these intercontinental playoffs will take place. Meanwhile, in Europe, we understand Northern Ireland will take on Italy in Part A, while Wales will take on Bosnia and Herzegovina. At the Part B route, we have Ukraine up against Sweden, and Poland will take on Albania. Part C, towards the World Cup in 2026, Turkey will take on Romania. Slovakia has Kosovo to contend with you. Looking at Part D, Denmark will take on North Macedonia, and the Czech Republic will take on Republic of Ireland, while Wales and Bosnia-Herzegovina would wait for the winner of the Italy-Northern Ireland fixture. The Ukraine-Sweden winner will take on the winner between Poland and Albania, while Slovakia and Kosovo winner will take on Turkey and Romania, and the Czech Republic winner. So a lot of do I say permutations will be coming up in this one, leading up to the fixtures in March next year. And quickly, we'll have to begin to look at some reactions from the sayings here in Africa. Former Ghanaian captain, the Samogian, has identified Nigeria as one of the favorites to win the Nations Cup coming up later, do I say later this year. Mike, you are looking at that. Super Eagles of Nigeria lifting the trophy after the disappointment of not going to the World Cup?
I think that would be the best gift for so many Nigerian football followers, especially considering the fact that some of them are still not yet healed from the wound of missing out on the next World Cup. I think it behoves on the players to do the needful. If you take a look at their run last time out in the African Cup of Nations, we got all the way to the final before losing to the eventual winner and the host, Ivory Coast. This time around, I think they should be spoiled up by the fact that they missed out on the World Cup, and try to see if they can, win this very one and see how to, of course, douse the tension and appease the fans for their disappointing outing. If you take a look at the squad of the Super Eagles heading to the African Cup of Nations, I think, yes, I may want to agree that the Super Eagles are one of the favorites heading to this African Cup of Nations.
Super Eagles of Nigeria are trying to see whether they can get at any bit. We understand the boys will resume campaign any moment soon as well. A lot of people believe that the Football Federation should have a rethink and maybe resign honorably, but they have a very onerous task of putting the boys together for the CAF championship, which comes up in just a few weeks from now. Well, let's quickly look at the European League. After the international break, football returns, Mike, especially the La Liga in Spain. Later tonight at about 9 p.m. Nigerian time, we are seeing Valencia up against Levante in a crunch time.
Valencia, Levante, I think I'll go for Valencia. The reason is very simple. I think they've been trying to see how to, patch up the season so far. So playing at home is a little bit an advantage for them, but then sometimes home advantage doesn't really count. We just want to see good football, especially now that most of the players are back from international break. It's not going to be that rosy because they will still need some time to, of course, get back their rhythm.
May 05, he will be back in action in the German Bundesliga. They have Hoffenheim to contend with later tonight.
Another tricky tie for Hoffenheim tonight as they travel away from home to keep up with Mainz. I think it's a very tricky tie. I don't really give it to any side. I see that game possibly ending in a draw.
Well, let's hope that the German Bundesliga will come alive with it. But tomorrow, it will be return of top-level football, especially in the Premier League in England. Chelsea will be away to Burnley.
A very tricky one against, Burnley side have been bullied so far through the start of the season. I just think that Chelsea might just have the edge over that one, over Burnley. It's just that sometimes when you repose so much hope on Chelsea, they get to disappoint you. But then I think on paper, Chelsea should take all 3 points at home. But then Burnley, a very stubborn side as well. Sometimes they could prove a very hard nut to crack.
Liverpool is at home against Nottingham Forest.
Liverpool, I think, can they pull away all 3 points for Nottingham Forest? They have been very shaky throughout the start of this season. They have stacked so many coaches, a lot of changes. I think it's going to be very difficult for them. But then for Liverpool, let's hope that they are going to rediscover back their form, because it's been a very, very difficult start for them so far in the season. About 9 games did they play, lose 7. 1-2, so another difficult game for Liverpool.
Newcastle United will have to see how they can stop the rising profile of Manchester City in the fixture that comes out at about 9 p.m. Nigerian time.
I think for the Magpies, they really have what it takes to stop Joseph Pep Salah Guardiola side that is also, beginning to, gather their self together. Currently, they are just 4 points away from catching up with Arsenal. So they will be motivated without, with the aim of catching up with the league leaders, which is Arsenal, that, has a very tough game this weekend. So I think on paper, I think I will go for Manchester City. But then Newcastle, they could be very stubborn as well sometimes.
Let's quickly see what is the star fixture this weekend in the in the Spanish La Liga. FC Barcelona are home against they are very strong opponent. I must tell you here, Bilbao.
Yeah, strong opponent, but not strong enough that Barca side will not be able to crack, especially considering the fact they will be returning to their new Spotify, new camp, So I think that would be extra motivation. Some of the fans that have not been attending the game because of the fact that they've not been playing at home, I think they will be at home. And you need to see that, new sporty camp, they renovated, is very, very beauty to behold. So I think with that advantage, I see Barca breezing past Atletico Bilbao this weekend.
Let's see the star fixture in the German Bundesliga. Bayern Munich, they try to consolidate their position where they left off last season before the international break against Freiburg. They should take this one because they are at home.
I think for Bayern Munich against Freiburg, I'm afraid Bayern Munich will certainly fry Freiburg this weekend because they are in rich vein of form. I think they will just drawn only one game out of almost 17 or 18 games played so far in this current campaign in all competitions. So I think Bayern Munich, they have all the nods to take all 3 points.
In the German Bundesliga, we have those tough fixtures, but let's see the latest fixture coming up from the Italian Serie A. Napoli is up against Atalanta.
If it was 2 seasons ago, I would say this is a very tough cracker because then Atalanta were very strong. But then so far this season, I think Atalanta has lost their grip, that strength, that solidity we know of them under Gasperini has gone. And the reason is very simple, and that is why they continue to change coaches here and there. Some of the players hasn't been in tandem with some of these coaches. So I think I will give it to Napoli because Napoli, they are in rich vein of form as well. It's just that the Italian Serie A, I take a look at it, the way it is going, it's been one of the most contested and very, very keenly contested leagues so far. You see the first, second, third, and first position, different points, 1, 2, or 3 points separating. So I think Napoli will go home with all 3 points.
Fiorentina will host Juventus, and it looks like the fear factor for Juventus no longer exists.
For the old ladies, I think it's a very tough game. Fiorentina, another good side, but I think Juventus, I can't really give it to them because just like you mentioned, the fear factor is gone from the old ladies. The game might possibly end in a draw.
Let's quickly see the latest fixture that will be coming up in the French League 1. Paris Saint-Germain up against Le Havre, and it looks like the team from Paris is not letting off steam any bit.
For Paris Saint-Germain against Le Havre, I see Paris Saint-Germain taking all 3 points, as simple as that.
Paris Saint-Germain will take all 3 points tomorrow in the fixture coming up in the League 1 in France. Well, with a lot of fixtures coming up this weekend, there are fixtures coming up on Sunday as well. We'll take all of that on our weekend edition of Sports Extraordinary. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.